Really quick note, YouTube's being funny at the moment with sending out videos to subscribers. To make sure you're notified of my uploads, please click the little bell next to the subscribe button below. Cheers. One of the most memorable moments from the new Breath of the Wild trailer that debuted at the Game Awards 2016 was the appearance of a new character, an anthropomorphic bird wearing clothes and wielding a giant recurve bow, who soars upwards towards some sort of giant flying mechanic bird. Yep, it's as weird as it sounds, but I think I know what's going on here. Let's take a look. So first off, who actually are the Birdmen? The first one we see is this guy, who many people have pointed out looks like Falco.
Personally, I prefer the air.
So that's what I'll call him for now. And during my analysis of the trailer, I mentioned how I don't think they're Rito, but an entirely separate avian race. They have some very pronounced differences to the Rito, such as a lack of human arms, legs and mouth, as well as feathers covering their entire bodies instead of just the wings. Falco is wearing a blue scarf, some sort of metal chest armour, puffy trousers and green ankle bracelets, as well as a very ornate bow on his back. This getup seems to pin him as some sort of warrior of the species. And on the other side of the coin, during the gameplay footage we meet Cass, a travelling minstrel with an accordion. While seemingly the same race, he's a completely opposite character to Falco, being a musician instead of a marksman. He's based on a parrot in contrast to Falco, but judging by his size, trousers, ankle bracelets and feet, as well as the fact that they're, well, both giant birdmen, it's pretty clear that they're the same race, or at least very closely related. And unlike Falco's obviously combat-focused attire, Cass wears more fancy, ornate clothing fitting for his profession. So we have two very different characters in Cass and Falco, both members of this new race of birdmen. And while we don't know anything about Falco's personality, we do know that Cass is seemingly helpful and friendly, so it's likely that these birdmen will help Link rather than hinder him on his quest. Okay, we've got the two characters down. What else is there to look at about the birdmen? Well, there's the vessel I'll call the bird ship, the massive mechanical bird that's seemingly Sheikah in origin, judging by the Jomon rope pattern designs found on both it and the Sheikah creations like shrines, guardians and resurrection towers. Falco seemingly looks towards Link for a second before shooting up towards the bird ship, seemingly to board it. During my initial analysis of the trailer, I thought that the bird ship must be under Ganon's control at this point, because when we see a close-up, instead of the traditional blue or orange glow of quote-unquote good Sheikah technology, like the shrines and Sheikah slate, it glows a reddish pink, like the Guardians and the Calamity Ganon, which I've theorised before means it's corrupted by Ganon. So why would Falco be flying up to it? Is he an enemy in league with the Calamity Ganon? Well, no. I actually think that these two scenes are completely different. If I increase the contrast and focus in on the bird ship in this shot here, we can see something really interesting. Instead of the pinkish, evil glow we see in the close-up, the ship is clearly glowing with the traditional good blue of the resurrection towers, Sheikah slate and shrines, meaning at this point, it's clear of the Calamity Ganon's infection. In addition, an emblem can be seen on Falco's scarf for a frame or two. At first I thought it was a bastardized version of the Hylian crest, but it's actually a design based on the bird ship with 5 feather-like ridges on the wings, a pointed, curved head, and 3 ridges at the back to represent the bird ship's feet and tail. For this emblem to appear so prominently on the design of Falco means that this bird ship is very important to the birdmen's culture, and maybe even acts as some sort of mobile home for them. But why would this avian race be in possession of a gargantuan vessel of Sheikah design? Unless the Sheikah have undergone some major design changes, which isn't likely, it's probable that the birdmen are very closely related to the royal family and the Sheikah. Evidence to support this comes when you look at Falco's bow, which looked strangely familiar to me the first time I saw it. Eventually it clicked, and I realised that the gold decorations on the ends of his bow are actually the same as the stone decorations on the Great Plateau. They're both variations on the Hylian crest, or more specifically, Hylia's crest since it's missing the bird feet. Having such a bow, as well as having a massive Sheikah vessel, strongly implies that the birdmen are in league with the Sheikah and the Hylian royal family, and will act as allies to Link in his quest. But this brings to mind another bird species close to Hylia and the Hylians, the Loftwings. The Loftwings are a species of gargantuan birds native to the skies of ancient Hyrule. They were modelled on the real-life shoebill, a huge stork-like bird native to East Africa, hence the large curved beak and massive wingspan. They were given to the people of Skyloft by Hylia, as Gaepora says, the guardian birds that the goddess bestows upon each of us as a symbol of her divine protection. Because of their intelligence, nature, and ability to carry the weight of a human and still fly brilliantly, the Skyloftians used Loftwings as transport among the clouds. Except Beedle, who sort of did his own thing. Oh! Could these birdmen be evolved forms of the Loftwings? We haven't seen the great birds since they remained in the skies at the end of Skyward Sword, so it's possible that over the millennia they developed their own culture. The obvious point to make is that both species are huge birds. Loftwings are big enough for humans to ride comfortably on, and while we can't judge the size of Falco, Cass towers over Link. In addition to this, both species are highly intelligent. We see from Cass that the new bird race are capable of music and speech, and while the Loftwings aren't, they do seem to understand the Hylian language when it's spoken to them. In addition, they're intelligent enough to form emotional bonds with their partner, to recognise their partner's specific whistle, and to understand when they're no longer needed by the Hylians at the end of Skyward Sword without any instruction. Could these birdmen have evolved from the Loftwings? It would give reasoning behind why they're seemingly so closely involved with the Sheikah and the royal family, being the guardian birds of the Hylians as gifted by Hylia. It would make sense that they act for the good of the Hylians in Hyrule and help Link on his quest. But that leaves one thing unclear. Why is the bird ship glowing pink here? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? At some point in the game's story, the bird ship, a vast, powerful, advanced vessel, will be corrupted by the will of the Calamity Ganon. I've said before that I think the corrupted bird ship will act as one of the game's dungeons, which would be a truly terrifying and awesome experience. I can take this theory one step further. HMK noted in his analysis that because of the pristine condition of the Master Sword, and notably the lack of the Sheikah slate on Link's hip, this scene could take place in the past, before Link began his 100-year slumber. If this is the case, it would make sense at this point that the bird ship is untainted, because the Calamity Ganon has yet to wreak havoc on the land. What do you guys think of this theory? Leave it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing. It really helps me out. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.